Bhavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I meant to find a document which I didn't search for. There's two nice documents. I'll share the essence. There's one document which is really nice. It lists the names of the 5 primary and the 7 secondary rasas, makes 12 rasas. And the presiding deity of each, and then a little description of each. It's a very nice document. And the second document has to do with the meaning. So here's a very nice, we've all seen this deity. This is the deity that was Modi installed, or was principally involved in the installation of in Ayodhya. Very fine detail, very close up photograph of the image of the face of the deity. Here's the very tall deity, very impressive appearance. And Karuna rasa is the name of the rasa that he, Ramachandra, is the presiding deity of. And there's the second document explains the relationship between compassion, which is the normal explanation or translation of the word Karuna, and sorrow. So it took some time, some extensive searching in the Sanskrit meaning of the word Karuna, and that it's the relationship between sorrow and compassion. A little storytelling, because it's a nice background of the main topic here. Ramchandra's unparalleled compassion, because he's the presiding deity of Karuna rasa. So the first translation of Ramayana that I read, maybe just in the beginning Kanda section, the English translation was the word sorrow, like 50 times in just the first 50 pages. And I didn't have that connection that Ramachandra is the presiding deity of that mood of feeling of sorrow, but from the the misfortune that came when Ram was banished. There's others and others and others, but the misfortune that came when Ramchandra was banished. His father, his mother, the citizens, on one day he was to become the emperor. And the same day he was to go to the forest for 14 years. Come around this way. come on. No, that's okay. You want to get hurt?
No, I don't want you.
I won't get hurt. With a garland? How are you going to hurt me with a garland? Okay, everybody. Come forward. Girls, come forward. Don't sit in the back, because people are going to want to sit in the back. Thank you very much. We'll ask you probably to do this one more time at least, because, okay. So the topic here is the relationship between compassion and sorrow. Because the Sanskrit root word, gosh, I wish I had the document. I'll send to you. You might send me a little text reminder, and I'll send you by the time I get back. Because the Sanskrit root has both meanings. And more conventionally, come forward, come forward, come forward, please. Thank you very much. Because the Sanskrit root has both meanings. And there's very substantial sorrow in Ramayana. And there's a reason why. Because that's Ramchandra. There's another reason why. One of the principal other reasons is that love is nourished by the feelings of separation. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, as the saying goes. You've heard that one? No? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. When there's separation, feelings they become intensified. And that's the nature of the secondary rasas. One of those secondary rasas is adbhuta rasa, astonishment. And astonishment intensifies the emotion. Or, in English language, is wow. It's rasa. Wow is rasa. And then there's the material, and then there's just the transcendental in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, astonishment, etc. So the function in the science of rasa, the function of the secondary rasas is to amplify the primary. And it's like waves in a river, where sometimes it's the same water, but sometimes the water rises and sometimes it falls. That's a wave. And so the movement of rasa is like waves. There's the primary, that's the river, of a certain mood or a certain rasa, certain flavor. And sometimes there's mixing of rasas. Like, there's so many nice examples, but the primary rasa of Arjuna was a friend, but he was also dasya rasa and sakya rasa. So mixing. And isn't the right time for a Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu class. Would you like some good news? I'll send you this text when you send me yours. The BBT, this is for 8 years they've been working on a publication of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu with commentaries by 8 different acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhusan, because he, that this topic of rasa is, it's bhakti. Bhakti is bhakti rasa. And Rupa Goswami we're Rupa Nugas, we're followers of Rupa Goswami, chasing after or wishing not just to understand cerebral, but wishing to experience bhakti rasa. And that's what moves life. And one of the reasons why we're bhaktas instead of non-bhaktas, because there's rasa. There's the reflection in material affairs with people that want, anyway, without going into it too much. So Karuna rasa has both flavors, sorrow and compassion. And the compassion increases because circumstances on the transcendental plane, when there's separation, then there's sorrow. You feel for another person, and then something happens. Now, in the material field, something happens all the time. In the spiritual field, it's rasa, so that the obstacles come. How many times were Sita and Ram separated? I mean, it's mega. Not only when she was kidnapped, but later for what's 14 years, 16 years? How many years? 14. 14. And then she entered into the earth 3 times. Just, something horrible, but the nature of the horrible, the sorrow it's an ecstasy, which is contradictory. Sounds contradictory, because material sorrow is not it. You got to come up forward. If you sit there, you know what's going to happen? Come up, sit in the front row. Thank you. The good news is the relationship between Sita and Ram is never broken. It's an eternal relationship. But sometimes they experience, both Sita and Ram experience, it's not broken, but sad. So sad you cry just to hear, because the nature of Sanskrit poetry, the nature of Valmiki Ramayana, the poetry of Valmiki Ramayana is such that if you don't cry, your heart is hard. You gotta cry. and it's not only crying makes people happy or make people ecstatic, but it's an ecstatic emotion. It's a sad, but at the same time ecstatic emotion. That's the mystery, and that's the way of wonderful poetry. So, Karuna rasa. Here's a little chart that it indicates, this is a TED Talk I sat and listened to. Somebody recommended, so I listened. And it's a person who works for, I think he works for Microsoft. And he's a Chinese man, and his full-time occupation is teaching compassion. Because it's not just it's marketable, but it's what moves hearts. So here's his little TED Talk in 3 minutes. There's an affective, a cognitive, and a motivational feature to compassion. So I feel for you, I understand you, and I want to do something for you. Compassion. And 2 of those have a humility factor, and one of them has a service factor. That's something that you do. But driving is, it starts with your feelings for someone or something. And you have some recognition of that someone or something, either the good fortune or ill fortune, whatever it is. Those are possible when there's humility. When there's hubris, when there's pride, there's arrogance. This is a whole topic. It's a fabulous topic. When in the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, my plan is to present here in the Houston Temple a seminar on respect, which is based upon a teaching given by Kapila Dev in Canto 3, Chapter 29. The title of it is Pure Devotional Service. And it's in the course of the chapter, he describes what pure devotional service is and describes that there are things that are impediments. And one of the impediments is from one's heart to failure to respect. You worship the deity, but you fail to respect the Vaishnava. Blocks the heart. So the worship of the deity, according to Kapila Dev, is pretense. Anyway, it's a whole topic. So you don't really understand the deity or understand the Supreme Lord, who's the enjoyer of everything, when you're not paying attention to and respecting the Vaishnava or other living entities or other things that come from the Supreme. Anyway, it's a whole topic we'll discuss, like 12 parts on that topic from the chapter, one chapter from Lord Kapila's teachings to Devahuti. So without humility, you're not going to understand another person. And that's a problem. There's looking down upon the other person. And then they're looking up to the other person with respect. Then you can see the other person. That is to say, pride blinds people so they can't see. They can't feel. They can't do. There's no compassion. So this is a TED Talk of a fellow that's speaking about business, and he starts off by saying, I'm paid full time to teach this, to live it, and to have seminars with people that are in our executive levels of our corporation to understand compassion. Not obviously from a corporate view, because it makes money. But something that makes money. What makes money? When you actually, anyway. If people have an understanding of what it is that he's presenting, it's a service-oriented corporation, and what's driving the service? These first two. You understand another person, you have a feeling for the other person. That's compassion. Here's a little reference found in Chaitanya Charitamrita, reference to Adhyatma Ramayana. And that's there that is mentioned the reference of worship of Ikshvaku. So way, way, way back in time, the original or Mula Sitaram deities were given by Ikshvaku to a Brahmana in Ayodhya. So let's go back before Ikshvaku. What was Ayodhya? Ayodhya was a place that was constructed by whom? Manu. Manu, the father of Ikshvaku. And Manu, it doesn't reside in the earthly plane, but he constructed Ayodhya and requested his son to go preside there. Manu requested That's how Ayodhya started. It's the Sun dynasty that comes into this world. Surya dynasty. You all know Surya dynasty. It's the Moon dynasty and the Sun dynasty. So Krishna was in the Moon dynasty and Ramchandra was in the Sun dynasty. So the Sun dynasty came from the Ikshvaku through Manu, and Manu the son of Vivaswan. So when he came to the earthly plane, he brought with him deities, Mula Sitaram deities, long before Sitaram. It was the deities. And when he departed, he entrusted the deities to a Brahmana in Ayodhya. The Brahmana, in turn, entrusted the deities to Hanuman, who then gave the deities to Bhima. This is found in this reference, right in our scripture, right in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kshemakanta, Bhima gave to a king in Orissa, and the Orissan king gave to the subsequent Gajapati kings. And after some time, the Vaishnava, Narahari Tirtha is in what line of disciplic succession? Who knows? Madhvacharya, Narahari Tirtha. Am I lost anybody yet? You with me? Okay, good. And then Narahari Tirtha, he gave them to Madhvacharya. And here's the deities. Given months before his disappearance, Madhvacharya received these deities from Narahari Tirtha. And they were installed in Udupi. That's one of the main deities in Udupi. These are the original Sitaram deities brought by Ikshvaku. That's the history. There's another very nice temple, many nice temples, in Karnataka, near the border of Karnataka. Here's deities of Sita and Ram on the right side. And then the festival deity is on the left. That's a nice start, huh? What's coming next? So what's coming next is a little bit more about this, the nature of the compassion of Ramachandra. Certainly, he had great feelings of love and affection for Hanuman. They're inseparable practically. They're eternal associates. The dasya rasa of Hanuman is unchangeable. We'll hear some nice descriptions of that as we go forward this evening. But it's not something we don't know, but the descriptions are just heartwarming. So here's one. Ramachandra's back in Ayodhya after his exile, and coronation of Ram has taken place. There are the three brothers, there's Hanuman, and Ramchandra's in the process of doing what for persons who have received, they want to give. It's just culture. You don't just say thank you, you say thank you, and then a gesture that says thank you, something that you do. Commonly, it's a gift. So in this case, here's from Udakanda section, Ram had presented to Sita an excellent string of pearls, furnished with superior gems, shining like a beam of moonlight. These two clean, beautiful, and lovely ornaments combined into one. Gems and moonlight. Looking toward Hanuman, Sita, daughter of Janaka, having taken off the pearl string from her neck, repeatedly caught a glimpse of all the monkeys. Looking at her, Rama, who was acquainted with the gesture of another, spoke to Sita as follows: Dear Sita, give the pearl necklace to a person with whom you are pleased and in whom the following are ever present. She gave it to Hanuman. Sharpness, firmness, renown, dexterity, competence, modesty, prudence, virility, prowess, and intelligence. The black-eyed Sita gave that pearl necklace to Hanuman. Hanuman, the foremost among the monkeys, by wearing that necklace, which was as white as a heap of moonlight beams, shone brilliantly as a mountain silvered by a white cloud. Poetry is very nice. Now, that's from Valmiki Ramayana, and here's from Kritivasa Ramayana, Lanka Kanda, at a time when gifts were bestowed upon all during Ram's coronation. Sita took out her hara necklace. It was of immense value. No one could value it in the universe. The very sight of the hara kept all the people amazed as they stared, looking at one another, like who she's going to give it to. It had many gems, pearls, and precious stones. All the chief warriors looked at each other, contemplating as to who would get that hara. To whom this hara is to be presented, thinking in her mind, Sita looked toward Ram and understood that he desired to be given to anyone she liked. When everything was in the dark and no trace of Sita was available, who searched for her? When all of us were dead, who brought all of us back to life? And this is reference that when Ramchandra had finished the battle, this very nice scene. It's right in the 9th canto, chapter 10. After the battle was done, it was Hanuman that went to find Sita. And when he found Sita, he informed Sita, victory, Ravana is dead, and Ramchandra is here, victorious. And then Ramchandra came. So, after Ramchandra killed Ravana, Hanuman brought this news to Mother Sita in the Ashok garden. This brought Sita back to life. Considering all these facts, this hara should be given to such a person by which no one would feel small. Janaki then repeatedly looked toward Hanuman, who rushed towards Janaki and wore the hara around his neck. The neck of Maruti was decorated with it. Hanuman then bowed at the feet of Janaki. Then she blessed him thus: "You will enjoy eternal life and always remain free from pain and grief. The glory of Ram will last till the sun and the moon illuminate the universe, and you will remain eternal. O Hanuman, I give this boon to you. Where there would be the recitation of the name of Ram, you would be present in that place, irrespective of the distance. Till that time, the recitation continued." So, honored. Holding the hara in his hands, Hanuman broke each and every gem in it by chewing it. Lakshman laughed at this act of Hanuman. Annoyed, he spoke these words: "Oh Lord, I submit. Why have you adorned the neck of Hanuman with this garland? These monkeys by nature are counted amongst the animals. Why did you give this hara of gems to a monkey?" Sri Ram said, "Listen, O Lakshmana. You are dearer to me than my life. The reason for which Hanuman has broken the pearls of this hara is well known to him. You better ask Hanuman the reason for it in the presence of the court." Hanuman said, "Listen, O Lakshmana, I received this hara taking it to be priceless. Therefore I found that Ram's name was nowhere to be found in it. The riches without the name of Ram have no value for me and should be discarded." Lakshmana then observed, "O Hanuman, the name of Ram does not appear all over your body. Then why are you keeping this body alive, O son of the wind god? Put an end to this body as well." On hearing this, Hanuman tore away his chest with his nails and projected it towards Lakshmana. After tearing out his chest before the audience, he projected that the name of Ram was inscribed in lakhs all over each and every bone of his body. All the people there present were surprised. Who can imagine? Lakshmana, however, felt ashamed and bowed his head. Lakshmana said, "O brave Hanuman, listen. There is no other devotee of Ram like you. You know Ram, and Ram is known to you. How could I know the limits of your glory?" Hanuman said, "I am the forest monkey. I am a slave of Ram and a servant of you." Ram was amused at the talk of Hanuman. Now, it's a different Ramayana, and many of us have seen this image hundreds of times. He's opening up his chest and he's showing Sita and Rama in his chest. I've always wondered, which Ramayana is that from? And it's not exactly the same, but it's quite similar to what Krittivasa Ramayana is saying. Nice. Then there's a very nice description of the interaction of Hanuman and Garuda. Now that's not found in Ramayana. Please come sit forward. If you sit there, everyone else is going to sit there. So you come forward. Thank you very much. You too. Yes. Yeah, thank you. So that's a nice painting of Garuda. This is from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Once, Lord Krishna in Dwarka wanted to break the pride of Garuda and others by showing the steadfastness of Vaishnava devotion. He called Garuda to his lotus feet and told him, "Please, hear my command. You should bring Hanuman from Kim Purusha Loka." Now, where's Kim Purusha Loka? Those of you that like Srimad Bhagavatam, you know that there's a description of that place in Canto 5. Because Canto 5 is a description of Vedic cosmology. And in Vedic cosmology, it presents there's 7 planetary systems in each universe. 7 lower, 7 upper. And we are situated on Bhu Mandala. Bhu Mandala has a series of 7 islands and 7 oceans surrounding it, and the central island is Jambudweep. And on Jambudweep there's Mount Sumeru mounted, at the center, a golden mountain that's inverted. It's broader at the top and narrower at the bottom. You familiar? Canto 5, Bhagavatam. And at the base of Jambudweep, the central island, there's tracts of land called varshas. And there's mountain ranges, and then there's a tract of land, like a valley, in between. Then another mountain range, and there's detailed description. And one of those valleys is Kim Purusha. And that's where Hanuman is today. Kim Purusha Varsha, or Kim Purusha Loka. So, Garuda, go to Kim Purusha Loka. Tell Hanuman I want to see him. Garuda went, approached Hanuman, and told him, "The personality of Godhead, king of the Yadavas, is calling you, my dear Hanuman. Go to him at once." But Hanuman, exclusively devoted to Raghunath, ignored Garuda's request. Angered, Garuda tried to take Hanuman to Krishna by force, but Hanuman, with the tip of his tail, pushed him effortlessly away. So Garuda failed. So he went back and told Krishna in Dwarka. Garuda fell through the sky and landed at Dwarka, where Krishna, amused to see him, said, "Dear Garuda, go back to Hanuman and tell him that Sri Raghunath is calling him." After dispatching Garuda again, Krishna turned himself into Ramachandra and made Sri Balaram become Lakshmana. When Queen Satyabhama seemed unable to turn into Sita Devi, Krishna laughed, had Rukmini become Sita instead, and placed her at his left side. Then the three of them stood waiting for Hanuman at Dwarka. When Garuda met Hanuman and told him of the Lord's request, Hanuman, filled with ecstasy, responded by running to meet his Lord. He took darshan of the disguised Krishna, Balaram, and Rukmini and offered prayers in devotion. Very much satisfied with Hanuman, the Lord bestowed on him whatever benedictions Hanuman chose. Now this is from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. What is this Brihat Bhagavatamrita? So Brihat Bhagavatamrita is a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam written by Sanatana Goswami. Many of you like Srimad Bhagavatam. I know I like Srimad Bhagavatam. They love Srimad Bhagavatam. They were lovers of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they were instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the science of bhakti, so they knew not only the story of, please don't sit right there, because people will want to come in and they won't be able to come in if you're sitting there. Thank you very much. Sorry to do this, but it just happens. Okay. So Brihat Bhagavatamrita, what is it? It's Sanatana Goswami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Here's a nice story. Sanatana Goswami was born in a Brahmin family. And as a little boy, one day he had a dream. And in his dream, a Brahmana came to him and gave him a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. It wasn't like go to the bookstore and there's a printed copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. There was no such thing. There was no printing press. But a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam meant a handwritten copy. That was what was given to him in his dream. And he was very enlivened, and then he woke up. The next morning, the very same Brahmana that appeared in his dream came and brought him a Srimad Bhagavatam. And so from his childhood, he began reading Srimad Bhagavatam and loving Srimad Bhagavatam as a young Brahmin boy would love a teddy bear, or a young boy, not a Brahmin boy, would love a teddy bear or some doll or something. He was a lover of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then enriched in understanding it through association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For 2 months, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him all day long in the teachings of bhakti as found in Srimad Bhagavatam. Imagine. And then later they had a further association. Okay. I'm doing fine. But thanks. So in his maturity, one of his books was this one. It's a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam in 2 parts. And it's really nice. It's a commentary. It's not a retelling of the Bhagavatam. It's a commentary. But it's a very unique kind of commentary. I'll just share with you because it's enjoyable, not relishable. The way Brihat Bhagavatamrita begins is Shukadev Goswami has just completed reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And the 7 days had not yet passed. And so Shukadeva Goswami got up and left, leaving Maharaj Pariksit sitting there, and his mother, Uttara, went scurrying up to her son and said, I couldn't understand all of what he said. Could you tell me what he said? And this is how Brihad Bhagavatamrita begins. He said, my dear mother, this isn't the right time to ask such a question, but because you're my mother, I'll give you a little summary of what he said. And that's what Brihad Bhagavatamrita is. It's Maharaj Pariksit explaining to Uttara what he heard from Shukadeva Goswami, which is a commentary. And then in addition to writing the book, he wrote a commentary on the book. I mean, these Vaishnavas were realized. And poets, kavis, they knew how to say things very wonderfully. So here's a little example. To honor the love that Hanuman has for Ramachandra, that's in one section. It's in part 1, chapter 4. So back to the theme of this presentation, the compassion, the Karuna rasa personality of Ramachandra. He had love for Hanuman, that's where we started, and he had love for Jatayu. And Jatayu, each of these, there's a mutual. Jatayu dedicated himself, he gave his life to protect Sita. When Ravana came to try to kidnap him, and he saw, because he was observing, he's a vulture by body type. So he went chasing after. If you sit right there, guess what? People won't be able to come in. You can't sit right there. You can't sit right there. I'm a cop. Traffic cop. No parking allowed. Okay. So when here the scene, they found they're searching for Sita, and they found Jatayu. And Jatayu, in his last, Ramachandra performed the last rites for the vulture, for Jatayu. And because he didn't see him as a vulture, he saw him as a devotee. And Jatayu said many nice things. He included which direction was Ravana going when he kidnapped Sita. We went that way. So at least what direction to move in. Ramachandra knew what direction to move in. And his final rites. And this painting shows Jatayu achieved a four-armed Vishnu form as he ascended to the spiritual world for his complete dedication to Ramachandra, and vice versa, the compassion of Ramachandra. Here's a nice B.G. Sharma painting that's depicting foremost the building of the bridge to Lanka. And the way that he depicted it is he shows they're putting Ram's name on each stone to make it float. Of course, you don't have to do that. Ramchandra can make stones float without that. But notice in the B.G. Sharma painting, there's a little squirrel in the left-hand corner. You see the guy? And the pastime was when the bridge was being built, Hanuman saw this little squirrel taking some grains of sand and little pebbles and doing his part. And Hanuman said, "Get out of the way. We don't want to squish you. We're building a bridge." And Ramchandra corrected him and said, No. You have your capacity. He has his capacity. To his capacity, he's serving according to his capacity. So don't belittle. Let everybody serve according to their capacity. It's a nice lesson, isn't it? It's the opposite of this pride that causes one to look down upon. You're worshiper of the deity, the worshiper of the Supreme Lord. And pridefully, you'll consider yourself a little haughty, a little bit above, or more than a little bit above. And that's a problem. It blocks bhakti. Bhakti doesn't flow when that's an obstacle that's in the way. So Ramchandra accepted the service of anyone, regardless of birth or position or any other qualification or so-called disqualification. Pardon me, this is a traffic cop message. If you sit, it's no parking allowed over there. You have to come over this way. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. That's better. There you go, there you go. Completed in 5 days. It takes a long time to build a bridge. 80 miles wide, 800 miles long in 5 days. So we heard this little narration about the crow. Those of you that were present for the Sunday program and heard the katha, did anyone here in the room not see that yet, either YouTube or live? Oh. It's a request. Please view it. It's an hour and a half. It's not too long. And you'll cry. But not tears of sadness, tears of emotion, transcendental emotion. And a major piece in this narration is what you see on the screen. It's a scene where Hanuman wants Sita to speak something that he can carry as a message back to Ram, verifying that I've met Sita. Please give me something that I can repeat to Ram so he'll know. Give me a little token. So he gives a ring, Ram's ring. And there's a story behind the Ram's ring. And then this story of the crow. So just on the way over here, I was asking a question, because the Valmiki Ramayana says that the crow, Mahabharata says that it was Indra that assumed the form of the crow. In Valmiki Ramayana, it was the son of Indra who assumed the form of a crow. That's what we hear in the Katha, which is fine, because one's Mahabharata, the other's Ramayana. So I had a question that I asked Nityananda Pran, and he gave a very clear answer. This crow was attacking Sita. There's a circumstance how it happened. But the way it's narrated, because Hanuman's going to be a message carrier. So she zooms in, she just focuses on as if she's speaking to Ram. Hanuman's there. He's the message carrier, but she's speaking to Ram. That's her heart. And she describes this whole scene. It's a certain event that it's a private event. They were swimming in the river, and this and that, and splashing water, and they became tired and completely soaked with the water from the river, and different things happened. The way that the narration is really nice. In Chitrakoot, Indra assumed the form of a crow and attacked Sita by striking her on the breast. Lord Ramachandra was immediately prepared to kill the crow by investing a blade of grass with a mantra to make it become a lethal weapon, Brahmastra. He imbued a blade of grass with Brahmastra and then released the blade of grass. But because later the crow bowed down before the Lord the Lord excused his offense. This is a much shorter version than what you'll hear by seeing the YouTube presentation. Jamunacharya in his Stotraratna. Who is Jamunacharya? Jamunacharya is one of the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, the great-grandfather, or great-grandfather of Ramanujacharya, and preceptor who Jamunacharya passed on the leadership of the Sri Vaishnavas to Ramanujacharya. So Yamunacharya wrote this in his prayers. My dear Lord Ramachandra, you are so merciful to have excused the crow's clawing on the nipples of Janaki simply because of his bowing down before you. So the painting on the left, it shows Ram is on the lap of Sita. The crow is pecking Sita's breast. Some blood was flowing from her body and dripping on him. And he was wondering, he woke up feeling blood and saw the blood and asked her what. She didn't say, it's this guy, get him. She didn't, no fault finding, no accusing. She was just tolerating, not understanding why he was doing what he was doing. And then so I asked, what was the issue? Why was he after Sita? Reasonable question. And the answer given is, it's kind of like a backstory that's not a prominent backstory. Indra wanted, because the demigods had approached Lord Vishnu to relieve the earth of the burden of Ravana and his horde of Rakshasas. So Indra wanted to know, would Ram still be able to do it? He had the understanding that this is Vishnu's answer. Ramachandra is Lord Vishnu, an avatar of Vishnu. Does he have the power? So he came and was harassing Sita so badly that Ramchandra sent a Brahmastra after him in the form of a blade of grass. It's a really nice explanation. So here's from the Shringa Purana, the same, or at least similar. One day in Chitrakoot, Ram passed the day resting, keeping his head on the lap of Sita. A wicked crow came and injured the breast of Sita with his beak. That crow then sat on a tree. Ram saw blood oozing from the breast of Sita. The wicked crow who was seated on the branch of the tree has done this when you were resting. Ram took a straw, invested it with the hymn of Brahmastra, and shot at the crow. That crow was the son of Indra. Crow was the son of Indra from the Shringa Purana, named Jayanta. Indra expelled that criminal from heaven. The crow returned to Ram and cried, "O Ram, this crime has been committed by me innocently. Please protect me." Ram said to Jayanta, "O wicked one, my weapon is amoga and must hit its target once released. Hence, offer any of your organs, and then only will your life be saved. You have committed a heinous crime. It is necessary to punish you." Jayanta offered his eyes unto the arrow. That weapon returned with one of Jayanta's, when one of Jayanta's eyes was pierced. Since then, all crows become one-eyed. This is the reason why crows stare with one eye. In case you wanted to know what the Shringa Purana says. So, similar story in different versions of histories of Ramachandra, because the history of Ramachandra is so popular, and the author is Valmiki, is Vyasadeva, and so different iterations through different pranas for different people in different times, different days of Brahma, and so forth. So a little bit about Ravana and some of the details of Ramachandra's dealing with Ravana. The dealing with Ravana was, of course, getting Sita back. And then there's we heard something. Rather extensive, so we're not going to repeat the rather extensive that we've already covered, but here's Vibhishan and his 4 ministers that accompanied him when he abandoned Ravana, although trying to help his brother act properly. He was unable to hear and was ready to harm his brother. Such was Ravana. So he defected and took shelter of Ramachandra. And when there was this, in this painting, there's Rama and Lakshman with the club, that's Hanuman, and then behind Hanuman, that's Sugriva. Sugriva, by this time, he's a devotee, very much devoted to Ramachandra, and because he was a little skitterish, having been dealt with by Vali the way that he was dealt with for so long, he was not so trusting. He was mistrustful. Naturally, once burned, twice shy. You know that expression? You've heard that one? Yes? Once burned, twice shy. Okay. So he's just, you feel a little heat and it's like, whoa. I don't trust him. And no, then back and forth and back and forth. It's a detail. We discussed this already. But when Vibhishan defected and wanted to take shelter of Ramachandra, he didn't just go to Ramachandra, he went to a representative of. In this case, Sugriva was the one that received him. So he asked Sugriva, can you carry this message to Ram? Ask Ram if he'll accept me as his surrendered servant. And Sugriva and others, we had this whole discussion. Sugriva didn't trust him. Ram had this dialogue directly with Sugriva, explaining this and explaining that. Finally, Sugriva became convinced. Even if he's not to be trusted, Ramchandra is all-powerful, no one can harm him. So then it was Ramchandra said, Sugriva, go tell Vibhishan, please come forward. I will accept him. And here's this celebrated phrase amongst Sri Vaishnavas, very, very, very important Sharanagati message. It is my eternal principle that if any living being takes shelter of me, even once, saying, I am yours, then I reward that person freedom from all fear. Now, in Vaishnava discussions, there's this ongoing question or dialogue or doubt. Is surrender a one-time thing or is it an ongoing thing? Yeah, it's ongoing. So the resolution of this, how do you apply this statement to if it's ongoing? If you mean it, you say even once, it's indelible. No, that's for persons who have integrity. You give your word, you keep your word. There's another saying. I learned this from my parents. A man is only as good as his word. You've heard that one? Something like that? You give your word, you keep your word. And you're an animal. You're not a human. You're not a man. You're not a human being if you give your word and you don't keep your word. So you give your word and you keep your word. And that's certainly a characteristic of Ramachandra and is a characteristic of any person of character. You say something, that's it. One wife, that's it. Or whatever it is. My father said, go to the forest for 14 years. That's it. That's it. There's no Bharata. There's no, our father said, that's it. So, here's some references from Gora Lila. This is a reference found in Sanatana Goswami's describing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about there was a third brother. There was Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was the elder brother. This is Chaitanya Lila. Sanatana Goswami was the elder brother. Rupa Goswami was the next brother, and there was a third one. His name was Anupam. Anupam was a very dedicated devotee to Ramchandra. So, when describing the dedication of Anupam to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami said like this: when he was asked by his brothers to become devoted to Krishna, not just Ramachandra, I've sold my head at the lotus feet of Ramachandra. I cannot take it away. That would be too painful for me. This is Sanatana Shiksha, section of Antya-lila Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then there's another reference where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed that one of the dearmost devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Murari Gupta. We're moving from Ram Lila to Krishna Lila to Gora Lila. In Gora Lila, very near to the home of Jagannath Mishra, the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was a wonderful devotee named Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was very devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Murari Gupta was like the age of his father. Jagannath Mishra and Murari Gupta were around the same age. Different professions. Jagannath Mishra was a Brahmana, and Murari Gupta was, by profession, a physician. There's a very nice discussion about his activities, his exchanges. He would come regularly to visit the house of Jagannath Mishra and check to see if little Nitai was doing well, Nimai. He'd give them medicine and treat them like his sons. So one time he was visiting, Murari Gupta was visiting the house of Jagannath Mishra in a playful way, knowing that he was a devotee of Ramachandra. Lord Chaitanya asked him, then he was Nimai Pandit, he asked him, can you please just chant Krishna's name? So he tried. But he tried, and he came back the next day and were crying and said to little Nimai, I tried, but my heart is given to Ramachandra. Please take that instruction away and allow me just to be devoted to Ramachandra. And Nimai Pandit at that time said, I was just testing. I knew you're so devoted, it would not be possible for you, but I wanted to examine your devotion. Then Murari Gupta said, may I, birth after birth, sing the glories of that Lord who made friends with the Chandala Guha. So that's another exhibition of a compassion. When he, Ramachandra, was sent into the forest, he met Guha, who was the forest chieftain. And the forest chieftain had some understanding of who was the person who's come into the forest, Ramachandra. And he treated him with all care and dignity. It just had forest edibles, but the best of whatever forest edibles he could find. He served him so nicely. This is found in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in case you want to refer to it later. And here's another reference in Chaitanya Bhagavat to this battle between Sugriva and Vali. The Lord killed Vali and entrusted the kingdom to Sugriva. Out of compassion, he made friends with Sugriva. Of course, we know this pastime, but I'm just mentioning it that it's found in Gaura Lila also. Or another reference, again from Chaitanya Bhagavat. I worship the lotus feet of the master of the three worlds who delivered Ahalya. And you all know the story, don't need to narrate. But she had been turned into a stone because she had what her husband thought was improper conduct towards a male other than her husband. So he cursed her to become a stone, but she would be delivered when the personality of God had placed his foot on her stone body. So he transformed. Vishvamitra knew this. That's in this little painting here. So he brought Ram to the place, was the hermitage, where she was still lying as a stone. Again, Anjalila. By his mercy, all the inhabitants of Ayodhya went to Vaikuntha in their same bodies. So when Ramachandra descended, there were two groups. Same with Krishna Lila. His eternal associates, and they returned to the same place they came from, to Ayodhya, to the Vaikuntha realm. And then there was another batch, and that was demigods. In this case, the case of Ramchandra, was demigods that had made offspring in male forms and assisted him in his pastimes. So they were also delivered back to the place where they came from. They're partial expansions of the demigods. Same thing happened in Krishna's Leela. Same thing. So here's a very nice narration. And I requested, did you all receive this little narration? Yes or no? In the WhatsApp group, did you receive? Okay. At a certain point, I'll narrate. But there's more detail than what I'm going to be able to narrate. At a certain point in time, there's Guha in the background. There's the followers of Guha, his tribal people. And at a certain point in time, they had to cross the river. So to cross the river, there was a boat. And the boatman allowed Sita to get on first with a nice seat for Ramachandra to sit. And then Lakshman got on second. But as Ramachandra was getting ready to board the boat, the boatman said, "No, stop." And Sita's looking at the boatman like, "What's going on?" And the boatman said, "I heard about you. You place your foot on a stone, you transform the stone into a woman. I'm a married man. I already have a wife. I have children. I'm working hard to maintain my family. I can't have a second wife, thank you. So you can't get in the boat. You can't put your foot on the boat." Ramchandra smiled knowingly and said, "So what to do?" He said, "I'm going to get some water and wash your feet thoroughly so that there's no dust left on your feet. And when your feet are cleaned with all dust, then you can get on the boat." It was a trick. Because he took the water from washing his feet, Ramchandra understood, and he washed his feet. And then he drank the water, and he sprinkled the water on his family members, and then he allowed him to get in the boat. This is a narration found in the Ramayana version of Subha Vilas Prabhu. He's a ISKCON devotee. Maybe you've heard his name. And I've not found this in other places, but it's very clearly spelled out in his writing. This little document that you should receive should have that narration just cut and paste from his book. There's a detail found in his book, and that is, prior to being the boatman, who was he? And the answer provided is, in the ocean of milk, he was a tortoise. And when he saw the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, he wanted to touch the lotus feet with his tortoise head, to lick his lotus feet. But Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, saw him coming, and she pushed him away. So he had this aspiration, and therefore in his next life he was given the opportunity to fulfill that spiritual desire. There's many nice examples. This is one of many, that even the intention, even the lack of intention, a shadow of intention to worship the personality of Godhead, it's never lost. I'm going to narrate something else, and we're going to end. This is Jiva Goswami describing in his Bhakti Sandarbha that even the shadow of bhakti from other than a human form can bring one to the stage of perfection. He makes the statement, and then he has scriptural reference to support his statement, or the statement is derived from that scriptural reference. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. This is from Bhakti Sandarbha. You can look it up later if you wish to. Text 140 to 143. So, Vishnu Dharmottara Purana describes there was a mouse who had the habit of drinking ghee from ghee lamps on the altar. And it was yummy until one fine day his whiskers caught on fire from the ghee lamp, and then his body burned and he died. However, in his next life, because of that attraction to the ghee lamp, in the next life he became a queen. Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. And in her life as a queen, she had this fascination, this habit of every day bringing ghee lamps to the deity on the altar. And at the end of her life, she went back to Godhead. And thus, it's an example from Scripture of how even a semblance, a shadow of, abhas of bhakti, from a less than human form of life, one can achieve perfection. Not immediately, but one can achieve. That's the pathway to achieve perfection. How powerful is bhakti? What to speak of then? Shuddha bhakti. If that's the shadow, then there's what we're doing that's like, there's more intentional, but not pure yet. But it's very powerful. Bhakti is very powerful. So here's a tortoise that became a boatman that helped Ramchandra cross the river. When he got to the other side of the river, he paid his obeisances, and Ramchandra embraced him and thanked him for getting me omniscient, all-knowing, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He thanked him for his nice service. And that was the perfection of his life. He said, Ramchandra said to the boatman, what's the fare? What should I pay you for bringing me across? And he said, there's no need. Just having touched your lotus feet and washed the lotus feet, I'm fully satisfied. No need for anything. That's pure devotion. And one can be lifted to pure devotion by the mercy of the personality of Godhead. Another nice painting, very old style. There's Sita and Ram, and all the entourage of Vanaras and demigods and this ones and that ones, worshipping the personality of Godhead. So that's our topic. The topic was the unlimited compassion of Ramachandra. And there's, of course, across species, without regard for anyone's background, guha, a boatman, a squirrel, a vulture, by species, not so wonderful. But it had no anyone who takes shelter and says, "From this day I am yours. I'll give protection and shelter." And of course, and we've just discussed, it's in an ongoing. But when you give that statement, mean it, and then continue. Is it possible to say like that and then desist? Certainly, it happens. Or slacken, not desist. Just you start. It happens. But it's never lost. And because it's never lost, some opportunity will be arranged where it can be revived. That, the association that started it to begin with, the association with one who's carrying bhakti, that opportunity will come again. Guaranteed. It's Krishna's, it's the promise of Ramachandra, or the promise of Krishna. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even the slightest devotional service is never lost. And can save one from mahabhaya, the greatest fear. Okay. The kids are really busy over here. My compliments to all of you for not only being busy, but, being pretty quiet. Right in the same room. Sometimes kids have to go to some other room and do their thing. But you've been very well behaved. My compliments to all of you. Okay, so let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you so much. So you mentioned Karuna is a secondary rasa attached with the compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, a lot of time it is the case, but is it the case all the time if we kind of try to analyze the feeling when compassion arises? Is Karuna is always there, or it's just sometimes it's there or sometimes it's not there?
Well, you have your subjective experience.
Yeah.
What's the answer? Sometimes, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Sometimes greater, sometimes lesser. Can the soul be covered? Yes. Can the covering of the soul be diminished? Yes. The waves of a river, can they rise? It's the same water, and then subside.
So how do we correlate with the compassion of Lord?
It's steady. But how we have yayatam mam prapadyante, as we have regard for him, then he reciprocates. Supposing one has unflinching regard, Shuddha Bhakta, and unwavering. It's like the shining of the sun. Does the sun stop shining? As long as the universe goes on, the sun is shining. It can be day and night, and sometimes. Okay?
The other point is, you mentioned Arjuna has a secondary bhava of dasya.
It's not a secondary. It had a mixture of rasas.
But I think my understanding is like dasya bhava is in all the rasas, all the 5 primary rasas. Right?
Yes.
That's already there.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Are you not confused, right?
No, I'm not confused. I'm just kind of verifying.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for wonderfully narrating the compassion of Lord Ramachandra. I have a question regarding the Sharanagati as continuous process. So I'm just putting in a perspective. So there is guru and disciple. Disciple gave word to guru that he gave a word basically, or no, she gave a word.
Articulate your question clearly. I got the ballpark, but the question is not clear.
So disciple gave a word to guru, but he is not keeping up to the word, like it's not
Okay.
continuous
Okay.
sharanagati, right?
Okay.
So as a well-wisher or third person is trying to remind that person who gave that word to guru that hey, you have to keep up that word, but that person is failing. So what is the person who the well-wisher should do? Should just leave
What
that
should you
person?
do when you see somebody struggling like that? That's your question?
Yes.
Depends on your relationship with that person. One of the first things to do is to invest in the relationship. And when the relationship is right, then you consider what, if anything, I should do to help them. I'm saying what, if anything, because I'm thinking of a particular situation. And in the particular situation, somebody wrote to me and they said, boo-hoo. This misfortune, that misfortune, and because of misfortune, I got off track, and I felt badly about myself, and I felt others felt badly towards me, and boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Depression. And then I was reluctant to approach anyone because I thought I would get judged. Because that's part of the depression thing. But then I met somebody, they gave the name, and that somebody has just been my friend. And they don't ask me. They've been engaged with me for months. They haven't asked me once, are you reading Prabhupada's books? Are you chanting your rounds? Are you taking only Krishna Prasadam? That's unique. But this devotee, is broken, and so they're not being asked that question by a wise and sensitive person. They're not even being asked. That's rare. But it's investing, and the person feels respected and understood and accepted. So when that time comes for the second devotee who's been their friend to suggest something or ask something, it's going to go in because the trust has been well established. A very key answer to your question is Bhagavad Gita 17:15, speech in the mode of goodness. It can be actions or speech, but in the mode of goodness. And when the relationship is right for you to say something, then you can say something. And then you're thoughtful about what you say. That's Ramachandra did like that. We could give scriptural examples. He didn't right away say to Sugriva, you're an offender just like Bali is. He didn't say that. But it was implied by what he did. And it was taken care of by having Lakshman extend and give him a garland as a token of acceptance. So then the reaction against Lakshman was taken away without us even knowing it. So when the instruction comes in its appropriate time and place and circumstance. So my answer, in short, is depends on the relationship. What if you should say, what you should say, how you should say. being very sensitive to the person. And when there's a relationship of you've invested an acceptance of the other person, they've invested acceptance of you, then you can this principle of respect. They have a relationship with Krishna, as do you, and you respect it, and in different ways. So when it's genuine, it's going to have an impact, whatever you say or do. In a positive impact, as opposed to a pushback, or just feeling guilty because I'm not doing what I promised to do, or what I should be doing, or something like that. It's delicate stuff. Relationships are easily broken, and not easily, mended once broken. Someone else? Yes. You have something? No? Oh, I'm sorry.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Lord Rama's interaction with in every step was full of compassion, an exhibition of compassion, and he dealt with, and that exhibition was different in different circumstances.
Yeah, in each circumstance. Right.
Yet the underpinning character was that it was elevating to the receiver, contrasting that to the compassion that we experience in this mundane world. It's both both the parties which exchange compassion. It's not elevating for them, or in most cases it's not, and it's misdirected. How to practice compassion in a way that's actually elevating both the receiver and the giver?
You know the answer, but I'll supply the answer that you already know. Bhakti. And what the essence of bhakti is, Krishna should be pleased. So the how-to depends upon the bhakti that you have, and the bhakti that the other person has, and what's going to please Krishna is to elevate the bhakti capacity or manifestation in one another. That's what devotee association essence is. What's going to be pleasing to Krishna? So that you certainly have to think of the other person, but the other person in relation to what's going to be pleasing to Krishna. I have many thoughts on this topic. I'm thinking of specific situations where persons, I know what their feelings are, and they're not feeling good feelings for XYZ reasons. And I've been weighing all day long. Between other things, but it comes back because it's an important person for me. What to do to help this devotee? Because I don't want to disturb, but I want to elevate. But what's going to be a message that's elevating kind of impact instead of another disturbance in a mind that's already disturbed? I don't want to do that. Just stir the beehive or something, kick the beehive. Whack it with a stick. Whew, bad idea. Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the wonderful presentation. So you had mentioned that Karuna means compassion and sorrow, like the two
The
components?
Sanskrit derivative means both.
Yes, Maharaj. So I was just trying to understand how, like sorrow in relation to compassion, is it like,
How about, rather than guessing, let me send you this document.
Okay.
Because it makes it very clear.
sure.
If you want to go ahead, we can go ahead. But it would make sense. It's, it took a day and a half to do the research and pull the information together. So my repeating of that is going to be less than what that was. And I didn't bring the USB with me. Sorry.
Sure. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, very nice topic. This is always very close to me whenever I think about the compassion. Recently, I was contemplating the two situations. One is when we are in the very good condition and we don't have any difficulties.
When is that?
At least whatever we have in comparison to the difficult situation when we are going through the difficult situation. It's very easy to surrender when we are in the good situation. So how we can cope up when we are in the difficult situation, the same surrender mode?
The feelings are?
Yeah, the feeling, the way we are feeling, or the way we are surrendering to the Lord, or services through the services.
That's how. He's always there. He's always there. He's always there.
And
if you have you may not see him, but he's always there. And the reassuringness of his presence will be felt. If you're super fortunate, I'm tempted to tell a nice little story. I'm going to tell a nice little story. There's a longer version, but the shorter version is Draupadi. And Durvasa Muni was visiting Hastinapur, and he was received very nicely and served very nicely, he and his 60,000 followers, by Duryodhana. So much pleased, he offered Duryodhana, ask anything and it's yours. He said, I don't need anything, but if you think that my service was very nice, when you should visit Yudhishthira. And his hospitality is superlative to mine. But my request is, please come after lunch. Because he knew their circumstance. He knew of the Akshaya Patra and the whole thing. So Durvasa Muni obliged his request and came at a time when Draupadi had already had her meal. And it was purposeful. It was purposeful. So that in addition to their misfortune, they'd get a curse of Durvasa Muni. Because displeasing him is easy. And pleasing him is easy. Ashutosh. So there's Yudhishthira saying, Durvasa Muni, how wonderful to have you come. Would you like to have a meal? And like he's in anxiety, but he's not displaying it. No, Durvasa Muni went to take his bath before eating. And, meditating on the impersonal absolute can take a long time. It took a long time before he came back. And Draupadi's in this big anxiety. So there's a very nice verse. You know the story? Oh, you know the story. So it's a verse that's quoted by Drupa Goswami from Mahabharata. The verse, the narration is maybe a little different than what happened. That the piece of she's in anxiety. She's looking out the window and happens to see a bunch of dust, and then there's a chariot, and there's Krishna on the chariot. He's come. She hadn't even called for him, but he came. And she then composes, or she speaks, it's in Mahabharata, when the impossible happens. There's like list of 4 things that never happen. When someone's on their deathbed, and a physician comes with the exact cure just before they die, does that ever happen? That happened to me. When you're in a famine situation, and there's drought and there's no rain, and suddenly there's a big downpour of rain. Does that happen? Doesn't happen. She lists 4 things. And that happened to me. And that is, Krishna came. She hadn't called him, when the gambling match, she called him, Krishna came. She didn't even call him, he just came. Good fortune can come to someone who is dear to Krishna because she's thinking of Krishna not only in good fortune, but any time. And Krishna comes, he knows, and he comes. And this message, this is going to come out in our japa retreat. I'm telling you ahead of time.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
So, Krishna's message is, I'm here. Means everything's going to be okay. I'm here. And she, whatever magic he's going to do, and he's here. So whatever it is okay. So if one has that Krishna connection, as they have, then it's, whatever it is okay. Good fortune, ill fortune. Now you want to add something?
Thank you very much. Recently, there are some devotees friends from my side, and they are going through in some situation, and they are talking to me about the situation, and they are having pain, but for seeing them, I'm also having pain toward them. How can I help them? So I always think, just let's pray for them toward the Krishna. Whatever situation they have, they can get over. But sometimes it bothers me. I'm not able to help them. So in this situation, how can I get over myself out?
You become a pure devotee. And then your prayers are going to be heard more than not being a pure devotee. That's something you can do for them. And it's not just a cute answer, it's a fact. For one who has faith in Krishna, that's a reality. So my capacity is, and the situation is, so what can be done? Become a pure devotee. Not just pray more or chant more, that the heart become sufficiently pure so that when you're feeling the feeling, you don't even have to say a prayer. You say prayers, but that's not the essence. The essence is your purity, and Krishna will hear. It's real. Look at what Prabhupada did. The whole world, in such a short time, transformed. How? Purity. Purity is the force. Preaching it. So we have our formula, and he's given it. Just take it with faith. It may take some time for you to become pure. Your business is not to feel good. Your business is to be a servant. And your capacity that tells you what you can do to be the servant. Your business is not to be a firefighter and put out their fire, their problem, and here comes the extinguisher, and ta-da! Oh, you're so wonderful, Mataji. You put out our fire. And then you feel good about yourself. Oh. It's a different it's a different field. The field of bhakti. So, don't beat yourself up.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Anyone else without a problem-solving question?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
The little squirrel was serving the Lord with his utmost capacity. And Lord Hanuman was serving Lord with utmost capacity.
Yeah.
How do we identify our capacity at most to serve the Lord?
That's a nice question. Very nice question. Well, here's one answer. There's not like the answer, but one answer is that which you can sustain. Day after day after day. And with one little qualifier, with sincerity, that Krishna should be pleased. That's your capacity. Supposing one day you do, 10 times what your capacity is. It's artificial, and the next 9 days are going to be insufficient, not in your capacity. So that which you is sustainable for you, and you're striving, but I want to do to my capacity, and I'm trying, but I want to make it sustain every day, every day. You follow? Let's say how many rounds. You don't have to answer the question, but supposing somebody is beginning, and I know some people, they're beginning and they're chanting 8 rounds, and it's like that's their capacity, because they can do it every day. In course of time, by doing it every day, and aspiring by descending mercy and better time management, etc., that number will go up to 10. And somebody's been chanting 16 for some period of time because they've taken a vow. And then at some point they want to do 20. And then at Ekadasis they want to do some other number. At least, sustainable on Ekadasis twice a month. You follow? And that's capacity. And then capacity can expand or increase. But then it's sustainable.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Nice question. Okay, I'm going to end. Is that okay? Srila Prabhupada ki? Jai.